Hi, my name's Tony Knight and welcome to this series in which I will be uncovering the secret language of dogs and giving you information you need to change any undesirable behaviour you might have without needing to use gadgets, force or drugs. Taking the dog for a walk should be a pleasure, and yet for thousands of people all over the world it's an absolute nightmare. And unfortunately, they lose control of the situation from the moment they even think about going for the walk. And that happens in their own home. Good afternoon and welcome to the annual World Pulling Championships, live this year from Geelong. The categories are pulling on the collar, very good effort there from our little black and white fellow. Pulling on the harness, even at a young age they can do that, that's marvellous. And our favourites for the much anticipated synchronised pulling, here they are, Jack and Russell making their way to the paddock. Tension is mounting, as indeed are some of the dogs. For some people, things go pear-shaped the moment this thing comes into play. And believe me, no dog has ever made a lead, but some of them don't half react when they see it. So I got to that first stage with these dogs, I went, fantastic, right, could you fetch me the leads? I thought the husband was going to have a heart attack, because he went, oh! You have no idea. Oh my God. So right, fetch me the leads. Brought the leads out. You know how big Cocker Spaniels are, yeah? They were both pinging 6 feet in the air. Yip scream bop, yip scream bop, 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 bop. I tell you what, if you're worried about your dogs not getting enough exercise, you get the leads out and they do this for a few minutes, put the leads away, job done. Now, if your dog loses the plot the moment this comes out, practice getting happy and in control by putting it back in the drawer or just wearing it around your neck and doing something else. And wait for the dog to calm down before you try again. What you're looking for is for your dog to look at the lead and look at you and go, what? That's when you know the dog is not thinking, I've got to make decisions. The dog is starting to look to you and you haven't even left the house yet. Okay, so once you have your dog used to the appearance of the lead without getting excited, you're ready for the next stage. And that's simply to call the dog to you. Don't go up to your dog, make sure the dog comes to you. I'm going to sweeten the deal with a treat. I'm going to try and get Augustine over to me. Augustine, here's your good girl. Oh, he's a good girl. Yes, you are a good girl. Well done. Now, I'm going to use the collar, not the harness, because of course with the collar, you're getting a more honest conversation with your dog. A dog that pulls is trying to say to you, I make the decisions. It's a truly international field this year. The Germans are well represented. Oh, no, that is instant disqualification. You cannot use performance-enhancing dogs. And as we reach the climax, slightly put off by lady, and he's off again, well done, well recovered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the decisions instead. And the way I do that is by a little technique called stop, start, change direction. And it goes a little something like this. I'm going to walk away, and then I'm just going to go in another direction. Every time you change direction, you're making a decision. And you're not really asking your dog to come with you, you're kind of insisting. But as you can see, I'm doing this in a very gentle, non-traumatic way. You don't need the gadgets and the gizmos to physically stop your dog from pulling. What you want for the dog is to see that you are the one that it can trust. Because when you get out there in the big wide world, it's ideal if the dog trusts you. Right, so I'm in Melbourne Aquarium and just behind me is the star of the show, Mitch, the grey nurse shark, surrounded by lots of little fish. Now, has it ever struck you as odd that if you go to an aquarium, you won't just see sharks going around? Why don't they eat all the other fish? Now the reason they don't is because they're well fed. Now if you're well fed, you're more tolerant. You don't need to go out and eat stuff. And that's the same for me, to be honest. You know, if I've missed a couple of meals, I'm going to be annoyed as well. So when I'm fed, I feel a lot calmer. This explains why there are dogs out there who are more tolerant of dogs around them, considering it's a pressure cooker environment, because they're well fed. If you didn't feed them, things will start to get a little bit more serious. Just like here. Don't feed the sharks for a few days and the fish population would start to go down. Voilà, mesdemoiselles. Bon appétit.
Thank you. Oh my God.
What? No, eat, it's good. Voilà, mesdames. Bon appétit. Wait. Not yet. Wait. Wait. do it, do it. Ladies, thanks for being my guinea pigs. I realise that was a bit weird, but it's going to make a lot of sense, okay? Bon appetit.
Thank you.
Now, if you actually went to a restaurant where waiters acted like that, you would complain or you wouldn't go back again. Now, the funny thing is here, when it comes to feeding dogs, a lot of these strange things that I've been doing, people do it because they think they have to. For example, some people will stand over their dogs, making sure that it eats up everything. But we also appreciate personal space while we're eating. We don't like somebody just stood there while we're trying to eat. Secondly, some people will tell you, in order to show you're in charge of your dog, the dog should be able to wait, and you tell the dog to wait before the dog can eat. We don't have to tell a dog to wait, just walking away is all they need, same as us in a restaurant. And there is even a school of thought that says in order to show dominance over your dog, you should be able to take the dog's food away while it's eating. In fact, in some rescue centres, this is an aggression test. They will put the dog's food down and while it's eating, try and take the dog's food away. If the dog growls or gets aggressive, that's a black mark, and that dog could be killed as a result. Think how you would feel if halfway through your meal, the waiter tried to take your food away. You might complain or even stab him with a fork. Now, if we were to do that, then in the eyes of these experts, we'd be seen as aggressive dogs and we could be killed. It just doesn't make sense. And when people say, but you should be able to take a dog's food away, what if a child was to do that? That is like me saying, I should be able to put my arm in a crocodile's mouth. What if a child was to do that? At which point you say, Tony, you're an idiot. It's a crocodile, don't put your arm in its mouth. That's the same thing with dogs. So often we forget that dogs are dogs. We deny them their nature. We have to respect that. If you are going to take something from your dog while it's eating it because of an emergency, tread carefully, knowing that you could get told off.